This is a check for $700,008.50. It was written by a 21-year-old college student, and it's payment, in full, for a United States military fighter jet, not a model, not a flight sim, a McDonnell Douglas AV-8B Harrier 2, vertical takeoff, missile hard points, $23 million of American air power. Sticker price to our student, $700,000, a 97% discount. Why? Because Pepsi, the soda company, put the jet in a TV commercial with a price tag on it. 7 million Pepsi Points. And somewhere in their own official rules, they made one tiny, catastrophic mistake that let this kid afford it. Oh, and that odd $8.50 at the end of the check, $10 of the total is shipping and handling. He paid standard delivery on an attack aircraft. On March 27, 1996, the envelope lands at PepsiCo. Order form, filled out correctly, 15 original Pepsi Points, peeled off real bottles. The check, item requested, 1 Harrier fighter jet. And technically, he has followed every single rule of their promotion. Pepsi will laugh, then they'll mail the check back. Then they'll stop laughing because this envelope is about to drag one of the biggest corporations on earth into federal court to answer a question no company ever wants to hear under oath. If you make an offer as a joke and somebody accepts, do you have to pay up? Everybody knows ads exaggerate. The burger never looks like the picture. The shampoo doesn't give you a new life. Nobody sues. That's the deal we've all silently signed with advertising. They lie a little, we ignore it, everyone moves on. But in 1995, Pepsi aired a commercial with a loophole so big you could fly a fighter jet through it. Literally, there was no fine print, no disclaimer, not an actual prize, just a price tag on national television on a piece of American military hardware. And exactly one person in America decided to take it at its word. This story comes from the actual court records, including one of the funniest legal opinions ever written by a federal judge, plus the reporting around the case and the Netflix documentary, Pepsi, Where's My Jet? Nothing here is invented. It didn't need to be. To understand how this happened, you need to see the ad. It's 1995. The cola wars are raging, and Pepsi launches Pepsi Stuff. Drink Pepsi, collect points, trade them for merchandise. A t-shirt, 75 points, leather jacket, 1,450, and sunglasses, 175. The TV spot opens on a teenager getting ready for school. He puts on the t-shirt, 75 points flashes on screen. The leather jacket, 1,450 points. The shades, 175 points. So far, a normal commercial. Then it stops being one. We cut to a high school. Wind starts ripping through a classroom. Papers everywhere. Students diving for cover. Outside, a teacher is blasted by jet exhaust so hard he's stripped down to his underwear. And then it lands. An actual Harrier jump jet settling onto the pavement next to the bike rack. The canopy opens. Our teenager grins, helmet under his arm, and delivers the line, "Sure beats the bus." And across the screen, in the same font as the t-shirt and the sunglasses, the price, Harrier fighter, 7 million Pepsi Points. No asterisk. No, just kidding, nothing. To 99.99% of viewers, it's an obvious gag, a punchline. But one of those viewers is a 21-year-old business student in Seattle named John Leonard. And John doesn't see a punchline. John sees a price. John Leonard's first instinct is exactly what Pepsi expected. That's impossible. 7 million points. If a 2-liter bottle nets you a couple of points, you're looking at drinking roughly 16 million Pepsis. That's a swimming pool of cola every day for the rest of your life. Your kidneys tap out somewhere around point number 9,000. So the promotion is safe. The jet is unwinnable. Except John gets his hands on the Pepsi Stuff catalog and starts reading it the way nobody reads a soda catalog, like a contract. And buried in the rules, he finds a sentence that changes everything. If you don't have enough points, you can simply buy more. At 10 cents a piece, John grabs a calculator. 7 million points times 10 cents. $700,000. Let that sink in. Pepsi has put a $23 million military aircraft in its catalog, and their own rules have priced it at $700,000. That's not a discount. That's a 97% off sale on a war machine. The catalog does have one condition. Every order needs at least 15 original points. So John buys some Pepsi, the last Pepsi anyone in this story will drink for fun, and peels off 15 labels. Now he has the points. He has the order form. He has a plan that is either genius or insane, and possibly both. There's just one small problem. John is a college student. He does not have $700,000, but he knows a guy who does. John's day job is mountain guiding, leading climbers up peaks in the Pacific Northwest. And one of his climbing buddies is a man named Todd Hoffman, a millionaire 20 years his senior, with money from business, and crucially, the exact personality you want for this scheme. Todd is, by John's own estimate, one of the few people in America crazy enough to take on Pepsi and rich enough to actually do it. Picture the pitch. You're roped to a guy on the side of a mountain, and he turns to you and says, "Todd, hear me out. Pepsi is selling a fighter jet." Todd hears him out. Todd is in. Hoffman rounds up the money. He and a small group of investors put together the full $700,000 structured as a deal. If the jet comes through, they share in the win. On March 27th, 1996, John Leonard mails the package. The order form, the 15 points, the certified check for $700,008.50. Shipping and handling dutifully included, because John Leonard is nothing if not a man who follows the rules. Then he waits. For weeks, silence. Then, in May 1996, an envelope comes back from Pepsi. Inside, John's check returned, and a letter explaining that the Harrier jet was, quote, fanciful, included in the ad purely to make it humorous and entertaining. The jet, Pepsi says, isn't part of the offer and never was. Oh, and they include some coupons for free Pepsi. John Leonard asked for a $23 million fighter jet, and Pepsi responded with soda vouchers. But John has lawyers now, and his lawyers send back a letter with a simple message: process the order, deliver the jet, or we'll see you in court. Here's where Pepsi does something that tells you exactly how seriously their legal department is sweating. They don't wait to be sued. On July 18th, 1996, PepsiCo sues John Leonard first, a preemptive strike in New York federal court, asking a judge to declare his claim frivolous before he can file anywhere else. A $100 billion corporation suing a college student over a joke in their own commercial. John fires back a month later with his own lawsuit in Florida: breach of contract, fraud, deceptive trade practices, misleading advertising. Meanwhile, behind the scenes, the panic goes further. Pepsi quietly recuts the commercial. The jet's price jumps from 7 million points to 700 million, and underneath they add 2 words that would have saved them this entire mess. Just kidding. Even the Pentagon weighs in, noting that a Harrier couldn't legally be handed to a civilian anyway without being demilitarized, stripped of everything that makes it fun. But none of that settles the real question. The question that ends up on the desk of a federal judge in Manhattan: was the commercial a legally binding offer? The case lands before Judge Kimba Wood of the Southern District of New York, one of the most respected judges in the country. A woman once shortlisted for U.S. Attorney General, and now, because of a soda commercial, she is required, professionally obligated, to analyze a fighter jet, gag frame by frame in writing, in a published federal opinion. The result is one of the funniest documents in American legal history, written entirely with a straight face. Judge Wood describes the classroom scene as, quote, a paper maelstrom created by the presence of a mighty plane. She notes for the record that the jet's exhaust strips one hapless faculty member down to his underwear. She observes that flying a Harrier to school reflects, and this is a real sentence from a federal ruling, an insouciant attitude toward the difficulty and danger of piloting a fighter plane. And she points out dryly that the jet is shown being used for commuting, despite being designed to destroy surface and air targets. But underneath the comedy, the law is brutal for John on 3 counts. First, in American law, an advertisement is generally not an offer at all. It's an invitation to negotiate. The offer happens at the register, or in this case, the catalog, and the catalog never listed a jet. Second, puffery. The law has always allowed ads to exaggerate precisely because reasonable people don't take them literally. Which brings up the test. The whole case hangs on. Would an objective, reasonable person watching that commercial believe Pepsi was genuinely selling a Harrier for 7 million points? On August 5th, 1999, more than 3 years after John mailed his check, Judge Wood delivers the answer. No reasonable person could have believed it. The commercial was, as a matter of law, evidently done in jest. Summary judgment for Pepsi. And for good measure, a deal that size would need a signed written contract anyway. There wasn't one. An appeals court upheld it in 2000 in a decision that basically said what she said. John Leonard would never get his jet, but what he got instead might have been better, because here's the scoreboard. Pepsi won the case, but to do it, they spent over 3 years and a small fortune in legal fees, proving in federal court that their own commercial wasn't serious. They sued a college student, They re-edited their ad. They inflated a fictional price by a factor of 100, just to be safe. John lost and became immortal. Leonard versus PepsiCo is now taught in virtually every American law school. Generations of first-year students learn what an offer is from the kid who tried to buy a fighter jet with soda points. There's a Netflix series about him. Todd Hoffman got his money back, and the check was never cashed, and the two are still friends. John went on to a quieter life, working for the National Park Service in Alaska, from soda-fueled air power to actual mountains. And the rest of us got something too. Watch any commercial today, and any sweepstakes, any stunt, any absurd product gag, and look at the bottom of the screen. That wall of tiny, frantic, lawyer-approved text. Dramatization, not an actual offer. We cannot stress enough that this is a joke. That's John Leonard's monument. He never got the Harrier, but every just kidding you've ever seen flash across your screen, that's his jet, still flying.